What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream. We're back in our Deck Knight project, a game built from scratch using Unreal Engine 5, C++, Blueprint, the gameplay ability system plugin, and all of that good stuff. So today, I thought I wanted to refactor my state tree for the bow, but I realize now, looking at it, I did what I wanted to do, which was basically splitting up the hold and release into its own kind of separate states and abilities. So I don't think I need to do that. But just to kind of showcase where we're at with this, we were able to fix some issues with, we lowered how much VFX are being spawned first and foremost on the bottom here. It's not what we were doing before was unnecessary. I think it was just causing performance problems. But we basically have a charge, and then we kind of shoot 10 arrows at once. Which is a lot, which is not probably going to be what we want to do in the end. But things seem to be working. So I want to do maybe two things today, which is basically after we shoot the arrow, he does automatically unequip it. But, we still have this old locomotion that plays, which I think is fine for now. What I'm hoping we do is after the equip, we can also send a signal to the other state tree to equip the sword. So I'm going to put in an equip state. And we need to do an enter condition. And we're going to say state tree dot event. I think do we have anything event dot state tree? What do we have for state tree? Anything? Yeah, state tree dot gameplay reaction. So we're going to do statetree.gameplay.event.equip.primary weapon. We'll say that. There we go. So what we want to do is probably after this equip ability, we can add another child, say equip primary weapon or something. And so this can just transition into here. Subscriber online, Shapa, how's it going? subscriber. Well, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. Bangladesh, nice. And so this equip primary weapon, sorry, you're kind of spamming the channel, so I'm going to ask you nicely to stop spamming. But if you keep doing it, we're going to have to ban you. So let's go ahead. Do we have a send? There's send gameplay event, but there's no send state tree event. So let's go ahead and make one. I don't know if we necessarily have to do it in C++. It's a simple state tree event. So we just got to find out where we are. So state tree, there's conditions. Okay. I have tasks, right? So BP send state tree event. Now I gotta get the state tree. And I believe, like, when we're in an actual state tree, do we have any actual reference to it? It doesn't seem like we do. So we would need to get like the state tree component, which exists on the controller, if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna keep maybe those as parameters and stuff like that, but we'll have to see. So because we also have, we can just get the actor is the controller. So we could change this to controller. Get component modify class. So we could just say probably just state tree component. Then promote that to a variable. Do a is valid on that. Send state tree event. Could make this the variable. We can say, you know, fail here. Is there a fail? Or finish task, right? So we should be able to now replace this with the state tree. Whoopsie. So I need to make that a public variable. And we don't really need to give it anything specific in terms of payload, but if we ever need to, we should be able to do it. So I would probably want to change this from actor to controller. I wonder if that's going to break a bunch of my already bounded things. If I go to my state tree schema, player pawn, player C, structure is the context actor. I don't think I can change the name, I guess. I could change it and add a new one for controller. Because that's where I'm setting it, right? Context actor class. Maybe it's not necessary, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think, what do I need? I have the player character and I have the actor, so. Maybe we're overthinking it. So I want to, let's just add a task for, is it print? Text. Yeah, debug text task. Reference actor, player pawn. Offset, whatever, text. He quit. And then we can just transition back to idle. So I'm hoping that will work. So I'm going to use the bow. We unequip. And we don't get that event. Well, let's just be sure all passes. Okay, we're here. Yeah, okay. Seems like we get it. Maybe I need to have a transition as well here. Try that again. All right. Yeah, still nothing. So let's debug it. What else can we do? You know. So let's get into melee combo base. Let's activate this and let's just see if we. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we really get that state tree event. Okay, so are trying to transition. So it seems like it... Maybe I can also wait there for a second, just to be sure. Yeah, debug text, scale, maybe I could just make it like 20 and I'll offset, enable, reference actor, bindable text, whatever. There should be a delay. Yeah, delay. Let's just make it run forever. Now let's try this again. Let's debug. Let's get the melee combo base. And let's fire the bow. So we never... It seems like it doesn't get there. So try enter root idle. So is it because applying on event? Seems like it's doing it, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it really selects the state for some reason. Now I wonder if it's at all for whatever reason because the transition's in the root. If I were to put this in idle, does that make a difference? Bug per usual. Boom. Still nothing. So applying transition, normal, but it says like exit states, debug task. Curious why that's not working. Oh. It's because I'm going to root for some reason. Let's try equip sword again. 10 times the charm, as they say. There you go. Equip. So I know that works. So we should be able to make a simple equip ability and everything. I think there's animations for it. So let's take a look. What's the word? I'm trying to remember which asset pack we got it from. Is it sword animation? I think it's this one. So we got attack, turn, idle. Let's go to the demo. Oh, there's an equip animation. Otherwise, we could just, honestly, just pop the weapon. Oh, this is like the walk. Okay, this is walk and equip, right? So walk to walk combat. Okay, so that's a problem. Because if I put it on the back, so there is the unsheathed back sequence. Maybe that's okay. It's also this one. So I think this one makes sense. So yeah, let's grab this and retarget. Let's grab standalone. Animation. Export animation. Gas course game. Character animation. Melee. Whip. I think that'll work fine. So let's create a montage. Now we need a very similar setup as we did for the bow, right? Because it has to be upper body. And then we need notifies to tell the calling ability that we want to equip. So let's look at the ranged examples. So there's the unequip versions. Hey, it's me, Senu, and Hiro. Thanks for the sub on YouTube. Much appreciated. So yeah, this is what we're looking for. But we'll take whip. We'll make a new tag for that. Oh, so let's look. So right about there seems reasonable. And now we need to make an actual ability from this. So let's go to player, ability system, abilities. We have things in a test examples directory, which maybe is not necessary anymore. But yeah, we can do that. Well, but there's also an animations, so I should probably move that there. We'll keep the sequence up there, but we'll move the montage in with that. It's right there. And then we'll make, I wonder if I can make like a general equipping ability. We have one for ranged, right? Not like an unequip. So maybe I can make a general unequip. That might be fun. Let's make a general weapon inventory ability. Inventory, weapon inventory. A new ability. It's a GA underscore weapon inventory. I don't know if it should be called equip because this would handle both equip and unequip, but so far, whatever. But more or less this. Once we move the weapon inventory stuff to C++, we'll have to do a refactor of this. But for now, it's whatever. So let's have it listen to either and have callbacks for either. We would need a thing to say B. Or, did I make it enum for weapon slot or B weapon slot, right? And it's primary, secondary, so we could use that. So what we could do is switch on that. Make a custom event here. Perform inventory action. And have a boolean or B equip. And then we would just call perform inventory action. Gotta file that and then it will hopefully show up. So perform inventory action. So equip this, unequip here. Simple enough. Now we could have a chooser, but maybe it's enough to really just expose this as like a soft reference, I guess. Let's look. So montage and a montage soft. So inventory action montage. I guess I would need actually like a boolean for B. Equip. Literally could just put it like this and then they just both go here. Or maybe it doesn't even matter. I could just put the 1 like that, right? And then we could do a branch. Then basically would say, hey, we could do maybe even a switch here. If it's a secondary weapon slot, so we would have to do it in both, I guess. Or I can make another custom event, just make it kind of separate, you know what I mean? So we could do equip, action, unequip, action. That could just be here, and then we would just say and we probably would want to, we wouldn't have to necessarily, but we can. Just load that variable and store it. We could also, and we should, don't get me wrong, is valid. Just end ability. If it's not valid, because we can't do anything with it, right? So now we have everything more or less set up. We just make the appropriate function calls to the right thing. So and we could have interrupted and canceled. We could do cancel ability. And if it is canceled, we just perform this action. And we could also have a flag for like making sure we track whether it was done or not. Because like we could have situations when we're about to equip it and then we get hit. But then we still want to make sure the thing's in our hand, right? We don't really want to not have it in your hand and have it you unequip it again or equip it again. So we'll follow that up on end ability in a moment. But first, we have unequip secondary, and we should be able to do something similar if it doesn't already exist already. Say deactivate. All right, so it doesn't exist yet, so let's make it. Custom event. Deactivate primary weapon. It's the same things here. Could just be a validated get, right? I always forget validated gets are a thing, and then I always try to remember to update my shit. Go. Go. And then similarly, we can just do something, like I said, similarly here. So it's custom event, activate primary weapon to hand. Validated get. Could do another validated get here too. Activate weapon to hand, and then more or less the opposite. Deactivate weapon from hand. Now I should have all the necessary functions. So deactivate primary weapons from hand. It may or may not be true if we need to. Maybe there should be a like force equip secondary flag, so you don't necessarily have to commit to having the secondary weapon put into your hand. So let's do ourselves a favor. E. I think I can make the default value to true. And we can just see what the repercussions are of that later. Let's also open up our old map. Yeah, now back in here, we can pretty much do the opposite, right? So activate primary weapon to hand. Create a little space there. Simple enough, and then on an ability we could just do, hey, was it canceled? If it was, handle this shit. Otherwise, you're good. So everything should be exposed that should be exposed. So we should be able to go back into our ranged base here, and under unequip ability, everything like that, we should be able to adjust to equip, I think I should just do inventory action as the name, honestly. So just action. And then I could take this, go into my ranged state tree, update this, and then pretty much update the data, right? So the montage is going to be the Sarah bow, the character bow unequip, be equipped is false, everything else kind of stays the same, right? And so I should be able to go back into this and actually play the right montage, right? So let's grab the montage. I should be able to just kind of force load it this way. And of course, we can also do like an is valid check or, you know, whatever we want, right? And we can do it on the soft referenced here. So is valid, soft reference. Always safeguard your shit. You never know. Go. And we could, you know, technically. But I mean, load blocking, I don't know if that's even what we want. We could just do, we could just leave it at that and just see what happens. So that's plugged in to our ranged base. So in theory, we shouldn't see any regression here. So let's see. We shoot. It puts it away. And then we get the equip. Problem is, I guess it doesn't let me capture, because we didn't get the call back to unequip the thing, I don't think. So maybe, well, I mean, let's, when in doubt, let's put a breakpoint. So, yeah, so we never really get the call back, which we should here. So I guess it's not specific enough. Let's try. Interesting. Do we get canceled? Or does it get interrupted? No. Does this have to be specific? Let's just make this unequipped for a second. Yeah, it has to be hella specific, I guess. Which is fine. No big deal. Yeah, we can literally just do that, right? So now we should hopefully not see any regression. So we're gonna attack and then put it away, and then yeah, we're good. Now we get the equip, right? So now in our equipped sword, let's take out all this stuff. Let's do a new ability and just reuse what we just made. All right, so grant dynamic thing, action. Whoops. Primary weapon slot, equip, yes. And then we should be able to just grab you and apply it here. And then basically on complete, we allow, but we would also need to have pretty much identical, not identical, but similar transitions from here, because I would want you to be able to interrupt this, honestly. Like I don't want to block your input or anything like that. So melee light, combo 1, and then hold. I think that's all we will need. I copied the air attack one, which I didn't want to do. That for sure you're not going to be able to do. Okay. So just again confirming we have the right information, primary slot. This is the montage, it's equip. All right, let's see. Okay. Works, but yeah, maybe a little too much flourish over here. It's like, well, let's use our speeding up notify state, so time warp. Notify state, time warp. Let's just make it like 1.5 or something, and we'll just see what that looks like in practice. So we go wham. Yeah, that seems fine. Maybe in general it could be faster, so bam. Let's just walk. Yeah. I think that works well. And then we attack. So basically, yeah, so essentially what we would need now is a kind of force equip. Sorry, I'm petting my key. So I fear that I would just have to kind of live within that's like a task as well. So it would be very similar to this logic, honestly, as a task. So we just bypass animation, we go straight to the point. So let's do that too. So BP underscore force inventory action. It exists on the character, so we're gonna take all that out. Don't need that. This is gonna be pawn. Name pawn. Parameters. It's going to be a boolean for B equip. It's going to be weapon slot type enum. And I think that's it. So I'm going to yank that out, copy it here, do nothing. It's quite okay. So we more or less need to, we'll do the cast to elf male. Don't like it, but you know, it's whatever. I could, you know, also just get component by class. Maybe not a big deal. Weapon, component, make it a variable, is valid get. Well, that is valid get, but just do it, it's valid. Get the weapon inventory component. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Cool. If this fails, we just finish task with succeed. False. And we probably don't care that this should be considered for completion. Should stage, yeah, that's fine. Okay. should be able to just grab that, do this. Do that. Switch this out. Oh. Do that across the board. That. And, you know, obviously this could also be done in C++. Maybe it's better. I don't know. It's a simple thing to do, so I don't think it's a big deal. Can't parse. Okay. Let's recreate that variable. Okay. And, you know, I could also do this in, you know, melee base too. And maybe that's smarter. Maybe we just wasted time doing it. I'm sure we'll have use for a task, but maybe it's better to just do it in melee base. Excuse me. So let's make a function. So force activate weapon. And we know some things already about this, assuming it's melee based, but you know, it's gonna be a primary weapon, so we don't necessarily have to have any switches. We know we need to equip it, so we don't really need a boolean. So it could be just an easy, quick thing for us. So we already have, do we? Don't really have a reference to our character, do we? So get character. Just gotta manually cast that to elf male. Local variable that up. Get weapon. Component. Probably unnecessary is valid checks, but that's what we do here. Then we just activate primary weapon. With force set to true. Force deactivate secondary. So should work. So if we do interrupt, now we're back, right? I think that's fine. Players, from my experience, don't really care about that with such fast action-paced games. We're not trying to make a AAA quality game. But, you know, if you wait, you know, you get a cool transition, right? And let's see now if I interrupt it, you know, yeah, we still got it, right? So it seems all cool to me. So now I need to think a little bit, you know, there's a couple more problems that we need to solve with the inventory component. Obviously, it's transitioning it to C++, having it being handled there. But there's some other aspects that I want to look into for like the bow, for example, like having a resource tied to it. So, you know, you could shoot one. It has some sort of like, you know, recharge per shot. And then you can hold and charge, and it'll, you know, the longer you hold it, the more the arrows you'll fire based off like the maximum number of arrows. And possibly, like, it could be potentially cool to have like the multiple arrows spawn at like some angled offset while they're in your hand. But, you know, that could be just creating unnecessary components. Yeah, when he lets go of the bow, he'll rip his fucking ear off, it seems. But yeah, cool beans. But you know, something else we can do is implement a version of this for the dagger and just kind of prove that we can switch weapons before we kind of dive into like the resource loop of like the melee, or well, the melee and the range thing. So maybe that would be cool. We could try something since we only have 40-ish minutes left. Let me take a quick break. I'm going to get a monster. I'll be back in a second. That didn't work. Hey. Okay, let's go. Okay, so one of these is dagger, right? So here's dagger, and that's some animations. But I don't think there's any weapons explicitly. But let's look at the demo. All from the same fab creator, so big shout out to them. The animations are awesome. Well, let's look. So we have idols, you know, because eventually we'll have to kind of start mapping some of the same locomotions and everything. But let's just look at the demo here. Oh my god. Can I just run the sim? There you go. Yeah, so we have some placeholder ones, right? Yeah, that's where they would be, right? On the two sides. Which looks sick. There's aim offsets, which we don't care about. Turnings, combo attacks. That looks cool. Maybe too much. Yeah, fucking breakdance in the middle. So yeah, this would be cool potentially for some attacks where you can kind of like spawn projectiles out of the daggers or something. And there's all these different skills. And then like a spinning tornado. Like this, for example. Like this could potentially be the charge attack. You know, maybe there's like, maybe this is like your parry or your block or something. So you could be walking and moving like this and you'll just like deflect stuff. So a lot of cool possibilities with this animation set. So let's look. I think I like the combo. There was combo 3 or 4, right? Or was it 5? This looks cool, but I don't know if it would be too similar to the hold, because there is this like kind of dash ahead that looks similar. Also here too. A lot of flair. I want it to be fast. I think this, maybe the combo 1 makes the most sense. So we'll work with combo 1. So also need the actual weapon. So I think that's probably gonna be on his skeletal mesh, right? There's this dagger static mesh. So we should have weapons, and then there's bow, right? So I'm gonna put this is the bow with all this information in it, I think. Where am I putting the actual skeletal mesh and skeleton? Let's see. Okay, so it's still in stylized crossbow, which is not good. So we'll leave it in, you know, well, maybe we can find a cool pack on the marketplace. The daggers later. But now let's just, I don't want to say brute force things, but we'll figure it out. So I want to look at him real quick, because there is going to be some necessary bones for where they're holstered. So there's the dagger left and right, which is fine. They do have obviously specific transforms that we're gonna have to figure out later, but I don't think we need to bespokely create these sockets, but possibly like the holstered versions, which I don't know where they are by default. Like it's pretty much like in this example where we see them attached to like some part of them, right? So let's click it. Let's look at it. I guess the sequence is what handles it. So they're here, right? With these sockets, they would need to exist. Or is it because of the animation? Looks cool. So we're gonna have to figure that out. But let's take it step by step. First step, let's make the state tree. That's fun, right? So there's melee, which maybe I should have sword and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna make a. Well, there's player abilities, then melee, right? So I'm gonna make a daggers. So that's not state tree, right? Oh my lord. Okay, so here I should make a weapons state tree. Just up there. Bam. ST player underscore melee combo underscore daggers. Music's intense right now. Okay, so in theory, we should be able to just get the animations and plug them into this thing. So we like combo 1 example. So let us retarget standalone. Sorry, no, this one's standalone. Should be able to grab 4 export animations, task force, game, character, animation. There's melee, but I'm just gonna make a new dagger. Hey, 2012 Wolf. Okay, hey you there. May I ask how often do you run into the unknown structure problem? When you cook/package the project. Not very often, if I'm going to be honest. I would need more context on that one. If you feel free to, I don't want to promote the Discord, but feel free to join the Discord. If the Streamlabs did its thing. Hold on, this is awkward. I promise you a Discord exists. One more time. There you go. Feel free to post the error. Just try to find a relevant channel. Like, don't just dump it into general. There should be, something like under UE packaging. There's a UE packaging one, so feel free to check that one out. So now we have our combo, combo breaker. So let's see if the export looks decent. Yeah, so it's like 1, 2, right? It's like a 2-hit. And then there's this, which is 1, 2, another 2-hit. One, 2, breakdance. Oh, context, I made a free... Oh, okay, so you're just promoting stuff. Okay. Okay, yeah. You didn't make that clear. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I don't run into that issue, I don't think. But good to know. Good to know it's a problem we're solving. Okay, so what else do we need on top of this, right? There's melee, and then there's animation, the actual montages, and then the chooser. So it's gonna be a bunch of the same setup. So daggers, I'm going to take the chooser, right? Well, there's also hit stop curves. We'll look at daggers, copy, CT daggers, melee combo. Thanks 2112, not 2112, 2012. Wolf, much appreciated. Thanks for popping in. Hey, and thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. So what is our melee base doing? Like, in general, like, I guess it could have like a refactor-ish thing where we don't copy it. Well, this would be a sub-chooser, I guess. I could add, right, a nested evaluate chooser. So, so we're gonna do a tag refactor now. Hope y'all are ready for this. So I'll holistically have all these things kind of referenced in a chooser, right? So I'm gonna add a new row. I'm gonna do evaluate chooser, and I'm gonna choose if it doesn't crash on me, it is, or give me an ensure in some way. The daggers, right? And so we're gonna do gameplay dot animation dot so gameplay dot animation dot melee, and we're just gonna do daggers dot light dot 01. I believe that's the structure, yeah? So we're gonna leave it up until daggers. And then in here, you can just update everything, at least up to the point of the dagger light combo, just to get things rolling. Go. Now we gotta throw in some sequences. So we need to animations, daggers, and am I able to bulk create these as montages? I think so. Nice. Let's move them down to daggers and animations. One, two, three, four. Here. Go. Now we can just plug them in. Last one. Boom. Now we go into melee base and we just update our tags here. So light 1. And again, we're just doing the basic for now. Then light 2. 3. 4. Then, you know, we're gonna have to add motion warping and all that stuff, but for now, it's fine. Let's just see if we can visually get us to behave like we're using a dagger, right? That's the goal. So let's go back into our map. We have melee combo. Let's just move stuff up. We'll do more of this refactor later when we create chooser tables for each kind of weapon. But what do we do? What was I gonna do? We need to make a weapon. We need to inject the state tree. So we have where is we do have a weapons folder, but it's not in there. So it's a character and then weapons. Oops. Duplicate sword. Daggers. Then in. Then we gotta put the weapon in. It's not gonna be attached correctly, but that's fine. So let's just type in dagger. We should see something. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, it's a static mesh if I remember correctly. So dagger. Um, and then yeah, if it's two weapons, yeah, we'll have to see what that looks like. Because yeah, daggers will have two weapons, I guess, technically, like both hands, right? But that's the next thing to solve, I think. Once we know how we can do daggers, then we should be able to migrate stuff to C++, I'd imagine. But weapon animation is not necessary. State tree over a primary weapon. State tree is going to be daggers. And then we have to go into our elf character and just tell it to use our daggers. I hope. Some of this stuff probably shouldn't be exposed. Wonder how I can mask that, honestly. It's like what is shown, right? In the weapon component. Yeah, just those, really. I could probably make that private, I'd assume. Just so we only see the soft class reference. You think, but we'll see. Yeah, cool. So now we just have these two. So new weapons is daggers. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we have really nothing. We technically don't even have anything kind of working. So can't find the instance. So let's see. So we are already failing. Because it's not a skeleton mesh, right? So activate weapon in hand. So we gotta be like, hey, is this valid? Yes, then you do that, right? But do we even get to instantiate, I suppose, is the question. So we add that. We instantiate all of those. And the weapon base data is dagger, which is fine. And this should pass, right? Boom, 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 right? But where are we handling state tree? So it is getting daggers. Don't see it. And it's not showing. Oh yeah, it's because it's not loaded. We're trying to do attacks, but nothing's happening, so the things seem to be passing, but maybe my chooser is failing. So let's debug the chooser. Do some manual testing. And we will set this to dagger. So yeah, it's not choosing any of that. So it shouldn't have to be exact. Let's see if that made a difference. Yeah, there you go. Nothing's root motion. Well, you see that now. So let's go to the sequences and fix that. Asset actions. It's asset actions, right? Edit. Root. Motion. Great. Bam, bam. I should be able to, yeah, I should just, I'm interrupting it. So bam, bam, bam. So kind of cool. Obviously, we'll need to get the weapons spawned, and might be just a personal thing, like always. But we should probably increase these speeds, not by 13, but 1.3. Then we should be able to also copy some motion warping. Like a bunch of these tracks we should be able to just kind of jack, right? Paste that, so sure, the rotation warp will need to happen sooner. So, until there. Translation can start there. Like here. Traces and stuff we'll have to do later. Yeah, input buffering. It's like here's a good spot, and then that way. I just gotta do the same song and dance. The other ones? So like, bam. So like, here's the translation warp. Whoop. Oh, yep. Early. This can also end earlier, so. Probably like right about there. We're doing an attack. Yeah, I'll probably end right here. And we let some time before the blend out kicks in. That. See that. Let's look. So that feels like a cut, right? So that seems fast enough in terms of rotation, translation. Let's look. So you go, whoop. Nah, it seems reasonable. Use breakdancing. Seems fine, and then about here seems good. And last but not least, that's right. So I feel like he should be able to rotate up until like here, and he starts translating here. So he goes like this. Keep going. I think. Longer recovery. There. But you can buffer again somewhere around like there. And I would imagine, like to me, like I don't know if it would make sense, but we could try it to see what's cool. Do time warp. Maybe make this like 2 up until 1 again. So, you know, it's like a quick. What is it like? Here. 0.05. It's too slow. Wonder how that would feel in practice. Probably too slow, but we could try it. Yeah, it doesn't really work too well. Let's shorten that. Like this might have to end sooner. Slower. I don't know if like brute forcing 1.3 makes a lot of sense. I'm going to do time warp. So let's copy that instead. Let's see. Dab on the haters. Oops. Maybe that will look better. See? And obviously we'll have to get the right locomotion set so he doesn't have such a harsh blend out, but for the last one, this buffer has to be like the last 75% or something. But I think this could work. Boom, boom. So be like boom, 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 boom. And then the charge would be like that special thing, right? We got this, but it doesn't really make too much sense. It breaks pretty easily. I think it could work. I think that's a good place to stop for today. Thank you everybody for watching. It's always super appreciated. Hope you had a good week. You're going to have a good Friday and a good weekend. We'll try to stream again on Sunday. Hopefully I'll be able to also do a long form video talking about these weapons and some of the work that we've done on state trees this last few weeks. So if you aren't already following, make sure to follow here on Twitch. It'll be much appreciated. Make sure to subscribe there on YouTube as well if that's where you're watching. And like I said earlier, we have a Discord, so feel free to join that Discord, hang out, share your work, ask questions. We're always there to learn and grow together. So enjoy your night, and I will see you soon.